Welcome back to the Mid-Year YouTube channel. In today's episode, we have a brand new C8 Corvette in the garage, and I want to do a little history lesson to show you why this car has earned its name Corvette. It's not just a Ferrari lookalike. So be sure to stick around. If you guys watch my channel a lot, you'll know I like classic Corvettes. I love the style, performance, the feel, the character of them. But a lot of people that like these don't really like the new Corvettes because the engine's in the back, the proportions are different. It's a short front end, long rear end, where in the past, for all the generations of Corvettes, they've had a long front end and a short back end because the engine's in the front. A lot of them had hideaway headlights, round taillights, and this doesn't have, well, it doesn't have any of that stuff. So a lot of people discount this car and say that it's not a Corvette, it just has Corvette badges, it's a Ferrari. But if we look deeper under the surface, it shares a lot in common with the classic Corvettes. And if you look throughout history, through the C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and C7 Corvettes, they're all completely different. Underneath, on top, there's a lot of engineering and performance that went into them. But, you know, looking at the production Corvette is only half the equation. There's a lot of work that went into these that we don't directly see that completely affects this car. So let's go back and look at prototypes, engineering vehicles, research vehicles that were developed by one man in particular who's noted on the windshield. So Zora Duntov is a legend all his own. He was an accomplished engineer and racing driver, and whenever he saw the '53 Corvette press release, he wrote to Chevrolet and wanted to be a part of the Chevrolet team and insisted on it. The early C1 Corvettes were very primitive. They had a straight six engine, automatic transmission, solid rear axle, and a very primitive front suspension. And he was pushing Chevrolet to try to improve that technology. And he did that through a series of prototype Corvettes, one of which was the '57 Corvette SS, which still exists today. The car struggled at the 12 hours of Sebring, and after only 23 laps, he realized that having an engine in front of the driver made it very challenging, and that started his journey to try to develop a mid-engine Corvette with the engine behind the driver's compartment. The Chevy SS really drove Chevrolet across 60 years to develop numerous prototypes, research vehicles, experimental cars, styling cars, to eventually lead to the C8 Corvette. So I know what you're thinking, a lot of these don't look like Corvettes, and they don't, because they are specific purpose-built vehicles for engineering research to test the performance, handling, engine capabilities, brakes. And they used all kinds of different engines in these, from small blocks, big blocks. They did rotary, 2-rotor, 4-rotor. I think they even put a turbine in one of these things. So I mean, they were trying anything with this research technology, which was implemented into various cars, not only the Corvette, but into the Cadillac lineup, you know, Chevrolet. Some styling cues made it into the Camaro and many other vehicles. So these weren't just one-off vehicles for no reason. I mean, these were purpose-built vehicles that were used heavily and eventually trickled down into the Corvette production car, which Chevrolet still does today. So that was a quick history lesson going through some of the prototypes. I'll put the link down below for where I got a lot of the pictures for these prototypes, and I haven't seen probably a third of them. A lot of them probably never made it that far out of the GM research facility. Some of them are very famous, others were kind of unicorns, and there are plenty more prototypes that I didn't even cover because they weren't in the mid-engine layout. After visiting the National Corvette Museum, it really got my gears turning for making this video, and this car was hiding in the shop, so I thought this was a perfect time. And now let's take a little closer look at this unit. So this is the business end over here, which is very interesting because the engine is actually facing towards the back of the car. So this car is backed in like my dad's, but the engine is facing the direction of this car. So it's kind of an interesting contraption. Very impressive looking. It's making noises now. I'm not sure why it's making noises. Okay, it stopped. It just did something. Not sure how you service these. How do you get to the spark plugs? The exhaust comes up through the top. Very cool looking engine cover. So these things are definitely an engineering marvel. It's pretty impressive that this is a Chevrolet. Let's just make that clear. This isn't some exotic Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, any of those. This is a Chevrolet built in the United States, and I think that is really cool to see that they've come so far with their technology. Chevrolet pretty much got as far as they could with the front engine, with the rear end in the back and the transmission in the back and the torque tube. And I think they have really accomplished a lot here with this car. I also like that the door handles are completely hidden. You don't have that little pocket that, like you did in the C6 and C7 Corvettes. Over here on the fun side, see we've got a custom floor mat. The door panels are actually of a really nice quality. They've really stepped up their interior game. Super cool inserts, little door handle button. They even got like some kind of material inside of there. But it's got red stitching because this car has red seats to pay homage to the 53 Corvette with a red interior. It's got the 70th logo back there. Steering wheel is no longer a wheel. It's got flat spots. I guess that's what the race cars do. It's got a really aggressive cross flag. It's got the Z button, which I'm not sure what that does. Seems pretty cool though. Has the removable top like the other generations, and it's got pretty cool little details throughout. The stitching is nice, and it's got all these little buttons. Makes it feel like a little bit of a spaceship. Transmission controls. I mean, it's button and lift and push. It's cool spaceship stuff, it's good stuff. And the dash is like some kind of crazy waterfall effect. It's got all these little overhanging plateaus or peninsulas. I don't know what you would call it, but it's cool. The little vents, got controls, glove box button, that's handy. Cup holders. I mean, this is a pretty cool rig. If I could get one of these for free, I think I would keep it. Look at that script in the headrest. That's cool. Now this is definitely a very impressive machine. I think that they kept a lot of cool character to it, added a lot of neat technology, and I think it's definitely not the same character as my red car, but I think it's still pretty darn cool. I would enjoy this if I owned it, which I don't, but I would enjoy it. Zora Duntov is actually buried in the museum. He helped break ground at the museum. So Zora Duntov and Corvette are hand in hand. And I think as Corvette fans, we owe him, as well as this car, an opportunity, because this car has earned its right to be a Corvette. Whether you agree or not, I believe this car has earned its right because that's what Zora wanted. He's the father of the Corvette. He's been there basically since day one. So how can we argue with that? This is what he always wanted. Unfortunately, he died, I believe, in 1996, so he didn't live to see this, but I'm sure he would approve of it, and I'm sure he'd be ripping one around because he didn't drive slow. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. There's a lot more videos coming up, not on this car, but on the Camaro and some more Corvette videos that you're not going to want to miss. So I got a lot of work to do, and I'll catch you guys later. So bring you guys over to the business end of the car, pop the hood, and see what we got under here. Well, that's not an engine.